What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big Ten channel. We're gonna give you some early thoughts on the Penn State Nittany Lions as we head into 2024, coming off of another very solid season, 10-2 in the regular season, but once again, just not quite able to get over the hump of Ohio State and Michigan. And we'll see if maybe 2024 can be that year. Definitely looks like Michigan is vulnerable. Penn State, I think, could potentially pass them in the Big Ten this year. But now you've got Oregon coming in, you've got Washington coming in, you've got USC coming in. So it's going to be an interesting year in the Big Ten. 10-3 last year, of course, losing their bowl game and going 10-3 in the regular season, third in the Big Ten East. And we'll start with the offensive side of the ball. First of all, just a change in scheme, new offensive coordinator. I think that's a positive. They really it just wasn't working. And so I think that is step one, and I think we'll see if it works out, but I think they're going to be better scheme-wise this next season. But Drew Aller will be back at quarterback. Can he take the next step? Can he grow this offseason? Saw flashes, early in the season. I was just watching some of the throws he was making, and I was very high on Penn State. If you remember, I don't know if you followed all the channels and everything, but I actually had Penn State ranked as the #1 team in the country at one point early in the season. Just based off of what they had done. I never really picked them to win the national championship or anything, but still you could see the potential, and they looked really good early in the season. And then as they faced tougher defenses, he just did not play nearly as well. And I think part of it was him and part of it was just the scheme. And I think both of those will be improved going into next season. So I like that. And just looking at the passing game, they do have Lambert Smith coming back, so that is big time. Fleming, the transfer wide receiver from Ohio State, will help them out. They do lose Dante Cephas, pretty good player for them, but the rest of the wide receivers should be back, and it's just a matter of them getting better. And again, is it the receivers? Is it the quarterback? Is it the scheme? I think all of that will be improved this season, and I think you're going to see a better passing attack. Looking at the tight end position, they do lose Theo Johnson. That's a big-time player right there, but they have Tyler Warren coming back, and so good news, bad news, I guess, there. And then you look at the running back position, not a concern at all. Yeah, Trey Potts, he's gone. He was good for them, but he was their #3 guy. Singleton's back. Katron Allen is back. And Katron Allen was actually their best running back last year. Statistically, he was the better of the two coming into the season. Kind of thought Singleton was the #1 guy, Katron behind him. They're both really good, though. And you look at that 1-2 punch, and then you look at what Ohio State now has with the transfer Judkins coming in to go along with Henderson. Boy, those are two really good running back duos in the Big Ten. But yeah, they're going to be just fine at running back, and overall the passing attack should be better. Now, the offensive line is a bit of a concern. They lose their 3 top offensive linemen, and we're talking about 3 really good players, so that is a concern for me. And you wonder how that's going to play into the run game and all that. They do have a transfer coming in from Wisconsin, Nolan Rucci, a pretty good player there. Will they add more? Will the young players they have on the roster be ready to step up? We will see. But just looking at this offense overall, I think they're going to be better. I don't think it's going to be a huge jump. I don't think they're going to go out there and score 60 points a game. But I think with improved passing attack, a run game that still should be really good, offensive line, maybe some holes there that they need to fill. But overall, I think they're going to be better. Again, not significantly better, but better than they were last season. Now let's go to the defensive side. This was a really good defense. You could argue this was the best defense in the country last year. And you start up front. Chop Robinson is gone. That's obviously a big loss. Isaac is gone. They're your 2 best pass rushers. We're talking about 2 really, really good players, All-American type players. So those guys are going to be tough to replace. They do have Dennis Sutton coming back. I would expect him to probably be their best pass rusher next season. Zariah Fisher will be back, so they've got some young players that should be ready to step in there, but you cannot expect this defensive line, at least on the edges, to be better. I mean, you're just losing 2 really good players. In the middle, though, they don't really lose anybody, so they should be very strong in the middle of that defensive line. Devon Ellies, he'll be back. That's a big addition, or a big keep there. Hakeem Beeman will be back, and so you've got players. Zane Duran will be back. You've got players. Izzard, I mean, you can go through the list. That middle of that defensive line should be very, very strong for Penn State. Might even be the strength of their defense next year with all these guys back, and they have plenty of depth there as well. So defensive line, not really concerned. I think they're going to be just fine. Yeah, you're going to lose a couple of really good players, but I think they'll be just fine on that defensive line. You look at the linebacker position, they lose Curtis Jacobs. That's a big loss, but that's really about it. Abdul Carter will be back. Kobe King will be back. A lot of other guys there that have played will be returning. So linebackers should be just fine. Again, Curtis Jacobs is a big loss. So the thing about them is they're not losing a ton of players in terms of numbers, but they're losing just some star caliber players, and you're gonna miss those guys. Can the next wave of players, can those guys step up and become stars? That's what we'll have to wait and see. You know, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So we will see as we get into the rest of the offseason, into the actual season. At cornerback, in the secondary, Kalen King will be gone. A really big loss there. Johnny Dixon's gone. Daquan Hardy gone. So you're talking about 3 really good players in the secondary. Keaton Ellis at safety also going to be gone. And so, yeah, I look at the secondary. They're losing some very good players. They did go into the transfer portal. A.J. Harris and also Jalen Kimber coming from Georgia and Florida. 2 very talented younger players. They should be able to step in and contribute right away, but there's no getting around it. The secondary should not be as good as it was last year. You're just losing too many really, really good players. So it's not a concern. I don't think they're going to be bad, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year. And I think that's pretty clear. So defensively, yeah, up front should be pretty close to as good, maybe as good as last year. Secondary, not quite as good. So a little bit of a drop-off. I don't think they're going to have the best defense in the country next year, but they still could be a top 10. And so, again, I don't see much of a drop, but a little bit of a drop on defense. I think they're a little better on offense, a little worse on defense. I think overall they're going to be, as you look to next season, about the same. I'm not going to say better or worse. I think this team is probably going to be right there around 10-2 again. 10-2, though, is a little different in 2024 because 10-2 more than likely gets you into the college football playoff. And so if you can get in, if you can get hot at the end of the season, you can make a run potentially at a national championship. And I think Penn State is in that conversation. Again, there are some areas of concern, offensive line, secondary, but there are a lot of bright spots. And I think you can be pretty optimistic if you're a Penn State fan going into the season. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Give me your thoughts on the Nittany Lions down in the comments below.